Hello history lovers, today we have prepared a story that shocked the Germans. Today we will tell a story about hundreds of Uzbeks. So many prisoners soldiers from the Uzbek USSR during the Great Patriotic War broke a special train to the Nazi-occupied Holland. There in the ditch camp Amersfoort ordinary Uzbeks, according to Goebbels, scenario should play an important role in raising the spirit of the German army. But this plan was not destined to come true. As he wrote in his diary from the prisoners of the death who arrived in the Soviet prisoners were not like the Russians, short, with dark skin and almond-shaped eyes. These are the natives of distant Central Asia. They were placed not in a barrack like the other, but in a separate corral under the open sky surrounded by barbers. The attitude towards these Uzbeks was especially they were almost not fit. They were sent to the most different work, and then they were beaten with trenchers and pads. The Nazis called them among themselves internation subhumans. Other captives wondered why these people were treated like animals. The situation at the front was depressing, and Hitler started to do something before the fateful battle for Moscow. It was necessary to raise the fallen spirit of the German soldiers who took Smolensk with differently. The Nazis took entire status in a month, and here for more than 2 months they were stuck in this Russian outback. And then the German propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels decided to play contrast and show the enemy positive and insignificant. He decided to shoot a small video where Soviet soldiers tear each other apart for a piece of bread. People with a non-European appearance were selected from among the prisoners of war. The goal was set to stir them up to literally an animal state, so that nothing human remains in them, and shuffle food like a herd of hungry deers. After some time, Big Chen came to camp, and instead of him a whole detachment of cameramen and the directors of the base in Germany. According to some sources, Goebbels himself came to the historical shooting, like camera motor. Following the example, the Uzbeks will be driving into the line with Aryans, tall and beautiful like haired blue-eyed, as from the cover of fashion magazine. They contrasted perfectly with the dark-skinned, tortured captives. Cars immediately arrived and opened the luggage compartment from there, and the couple smell of freshly baked bread from which even the well-fed Aryans swallowed. The culmination of this vile idea was to be a loaf of bread tossed into a corral for movie cameras. This must be a great Reich film about how half animals throw themselves on bread looking like their own kind with teach for German soldiers. It must be very instructive material. You must not have any room for pity on this attribute. These are not people. but everything went wrong. An abandoned loaf of bread fell into the middle of the pen. The youngest boy approached her. Deadly silence. Careful rised and kissed their times broke on boy on to flourished as a shrine, and then passed it on to the oldest. Then they put their feet in the east and began to pass along the chain tiny pieces of bread like pilaf at the Samarkand wedding, which received a fish and warmed his hands from it, and then slowly closing his eyes ate it, and at the end of the strange meal in sounded "Kudayga şükür, thank God." The Germans were beside themselves with annoyance and rage. The plan of pupils crushed the nobility of the people, but did not imagine how majestic people of other races can be, and what can be the relationship between them, how much to love the motherland and the dignity respect breed. After a failed experiment, all 100 Uzbeks were severely beaten. Of the heroes, 177 people survived until April 1942, who under the pretext of being transferred to another camp were shot in the forest. This failure is so shameful that there was no evidence left in the documents of the Reich. The Germans, who recorded every Jesus touch, destroyed all references to this case. Only scant evidence remains, which was restored by the Dutch journalists Remke Reding, Anvar Irgachev, and Yulia Medvedskaya. So the investigation wrote a book on 100 on. Today it is now that one of the Dutch prisoners of war made an entry in his diary, according to which in fact they were able to restore part of what happened. He also made portrait sketches of Uzbeks, two of them signed as Zoir Muratov and Kaburov. Out of 1,400,000 Uzbeks who fought did not return from the war, and at least 100,000 are still considered missing. Today's generation should not forget that our ancestors gave their lives for our future, washed away, peaceful and worthy.